Seeing what this thing will really do. Explain exactly what we're going to do next, George.
Well, like we were talking about before, there's ways to get numbers on a dyno. Okay. Now, I always tune in fifth gear. I tune in fifth gear on purpose because, let's face it, these are street tires, and they really shouldn't be spinning at any sustained time at big mile an hour. So you can see in fifth gear, I had, 140 miles an hour.
Yep.
I am going to do one hopefully you can in sixth gear, not only to show you the increase in mile an hour that the gearing is capable of, whether the motorcycle is or not is a different story. Okay, but I want to show you how driveline loss affects power output. With no changes to the motorcycle whatsoever, I'm going to use sixth gear.
And that gives you a 1-to-1 reduction, right? That's what you're
Right, it's a 1-to-1 ratio in the final drive. So, let's see how much horsepower and torque that affects.
Okay. Running low.
I put gas in it.
You did? It's on fumes.
I put a quarter gallon in it.
Be a hoot to ride.
Yeah. The speedometer, or I had edited in the beginning the tire speed rating maximum of 155. So it stopped collecting data. You can see this max tire speed thing came up because it tried to exceed 155 miles an hour.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So, just for ha-has, let's do that. And you can see, let me get my glasses here. You can see we did in fact make it to 155 mile an hour, 153.
And the computer shut it off, it probably went faster, right?
Yeah, it shut it down. And then just for ha-has, Okay, now, right now it's showing it in mile an hour, so this is why the graphs aren't overlaying very well, but you can see your difference in speed. Before, fifth gear was just about 140, where sixth gear was 153, 154. Okay, now if I convert this to an RPM graph, now we can see our differences. Remember, I was telling you how the difference in the gear is going to affect. So now look, right from the bottom, you can see the blue was sixth gear, the red was fifth gear. So you can see right from the bottom, 1700 RPM, you can see we're producing more torque, we're producing more horsepower. In the middle here, it got pretty close. Then we have a little bit of a gap here going on, and then very typical, and then they start to come back together again on the big end. Now, just for ha-has, let's see if you've got any clutch slip going on. And we don't. We have nice linear lines in both gears. So we don't have any clutch slip that may have been influencing our numbers. So our numbers are very legit. So you can see, just changing the gear, nothing else, we gained horsepower and torque at different RPMs.
It feels like it's faster in fifth gear than sixth, but
well, that's simply because of the load you're under. The faster you're going, you've got more load, so obviously the motor has to work harder to get there.
Okay.
The motor is actually producing more power, it's just it's requiring more power to go faster because of the resistance to the air.
Okay.
So, but you can see your clutch is not slipping at all in either gear, but you can see, in fact, there was a horsepower and torque gain throughout almost the entire range, which is very typical. Now, like I said, I don't like doing that. I don't like spinning stock tires at those big speeds like that.
Well, I doubt I'll ever go at 155 on it, but it's nice to know that Metzler is capable of it.
Yeah.
I think I panic at about 120 on a Harley, 125, until I get my Öhlins forks and shocks. So according to Big Bear choppers and crows, it'll do 140 straight as an arrow, but the fastest I've ever gone on a motorcycle before was 145 miles an hour, and that was on a Ducati, and it wasn't terrifying because that bike's designed to do it. These are not designed to do that. You're like a sail in the wind, so
sure.
They're designed for cruising, but they'll do it.
Now remember before we were talking about your RPM limit? Now if you look at the shape of your graph, you can see it's still climbing when it reaches 60, 200. Well, actually that's in, let me change that. That's in sixth gear, which it didn't let us go. So here's fifth gear. Okay, you can see it pretty much reached its peak, and it's just kind of hanging there. So I personally wouldn't bother bringing my RPM limit any higher because the motor it's making power, yes. It hasn't rolled over, no, but it's not going to make any more.
So the volumetric efficiency, or however you describe it, that the motor's capable of, it's not going to improve by revving it higher, is what you're saying.
Yeah, there's no sense in revving it higher.
And it's 62. What is the max rev limiter set at 6,200?
It's at 6,200.
And does it make sense to rev it that high when you're like a third, fourth, fifth? If you're racing, do you rev it right to the rev limiter?
Sure.
And shift it as quick as you can. And that's a safe RPM for this motor, right? That motor's entirely capable.
The valve springs and all that kind of stuff with that camshaft that we put in there is most certainly capable. It's maintaining valve control. That's why I was going to say it's not really aggressively still climbing in power. If it was, okay, I'd raise my RPM limit. But because it's not, why bother beating the motor when it's not necessary?
Exactly. So you've got it set so that for peak efficiency at 6,200
and safe.
Peak, and for long term, which is what you want out of a expensive investment like this. Safe, efficient, fun, power. I think it all boils down to fun, right?
Absolutely.
Otherwise, we'd all be riding Hondas with stock exhausts.
Hey, Hondas go fast too.
I love Hondas, Yamahas too. But we ride Harleys for a reason, and part of it's the way they look, part of it's the way they sound, the way they feel, and everything is improved with this. It's enhanced. So, thanks for staying tuned, folks. And we got some great videos coming your way, so don't go anywhere. God bless America.